Happy Thursday. Hope everybody's doing good. It's finally quiet in our house. We've had the roofer here for the last 2 days, and all we heard was banging. But the roof is done, thank goodness. So I hope everybody's doing well. Tonight we're going to be working with the Sun Prince Suite. And let me just pull the stamp set out. The stamp set is called Nature's Prints, and it has all these beautiful images, and I love the font on this set. Now, this bundle comes with the matching dies, and it has this really pretty wreath that I'll be using on tonight's card. And it also has a fern embossing folder that I used on the second card. So it's a really pretty suite, and it comes with designer series paper, and I don't think I pulled it out. Yes, I did. Here it is. And the designer series paper that comes in the suite, and did I open it? Yeah. Has blues, all blues, and some grays. And then it has a second set of paper that comes in Bermuda Bay. It'll go with Bermuda Bay and Blackberry Bliss, Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen, and I decided to use the Calypso Coral tonight. So we're going to be making this fun fold card, and then this card, which is a little different, and a little gift box. Hey, Do. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Sheila. Hi, Elizabeth. That holds a roll of Lifesavers. So before we get started, something really quick. I just want to let you know again about the starter kit promotion that Stampin' Up! Has going on. For your $99, you get to pick out $125 worth of product. And for the month of May, Stampin' Up! Is throwing in color products worth $66.50. It's the ink pad collection, some in color grid paper, the in color cardstock. It's probably one of the mixed packs, and then a package of the designer series paper. So that's a really great deal, and I would love to have you on my team. Hey, Tracy, how are you? Yes. Okay, that was my next thing. This month I decided to do a quick class to go. I was making this for my craft room, and I decided that I would do it as a class to go. And for tonight, I am going to give one of these classes away, just for being here on the video. So all you have to do is you have to be here live, and in the comments, write comment hashtag sunprints. And towards the end of the video, we'll do the giveaway. Hopefully it works. I have it all set up to, hey Sharon, hey Kathy, I have it all set up, so hopefully it will work. So you have to be a resident of the United States and hashtag sunprints, and we'll do the drawing at the end. Just note that I have to check the date. It will not go out this week. I'm still taking reservations for the class. Okay, so let's get started. I think we'll work on this card first. And like I said, it is the Calypso Coral and Basic White and the Sun Prince Suite. So we're going to start out with one layer of 5.5 by 4 1/4. It's our standard card base but it is only one layer. And we are going to layer that with an embossed layer with the ferns of the Calypso Coral. And I believe this is 5 1/4 by 4. I think I wanted to leave a little extra space. Yep, 5 1/4 by 4. So we are going to take this and we're going to adhere it right to the base of this card. I thought we'd do something a little different instead of, you know, the standard cards. Thank you, Elizabeth. And then I actually incorporated these sweet sorbet. I want to say that's what the color is. Yeah, sweet sorbet, one of the new in colors, because it goes fairly well with this. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop this up onto the front of the card. But before we do that, we're going to add an additional layer of basic white. And this basic white is 3 1/4 by 9. And I scored it at 4 1/2. So let's just get this. Okay, so this is going to be adhered to this sweet sorbet layer. But before I do that, I want to make sure to stamp the inside. You know me, I usually jump the gun. So let's get this stamped so we don't have a disaster on our hands. So we'll just open this up. And I'm using this little flower stamp and also this little wheat, sprig of wheat. And what I'm going to stamp it in is the Calypso Coral. That's going to be my first stamp. And I'm actually going to stamp off. So let me just make myself a little room before I get all crazy here. And I'm going to grab the wheat. And I'm going to hopefully not shift my stamp. And I'm just going to stamp off. And then I'm just going to stamp this right in the corner. And we're going to close that up. And then I'm going to grab the sweet sorbet. And I am going to stamp this little flower right over top of it. Just a quick and easy inside, drawing the colors into the center of the card. So we'll let that dry for a second. Let's pull in our sweet sorbet layer, and we're going to adhere this to the front. I'm actually going to use seal instead of glue because I don't want that glue to show through. And we're going to layer this right here on this layer. Okay. Now we can pull our card base in, grab our dimensionals, and we're going to pop this up right on the front of the card. Hi, Hannah. How are you, honey? Hi, Sharon. Margaret. Hey, Margaret. So what's everybody been doing with themselves? Keeping busy, I hope. I know it's been crazy here. We had been looking for someone to put a new roof on our house for months. I actually called about 6 different places and no one ever showed up. So my neighbor had called a roofer for something on her house, and while he was there talking to her, I went over and spoke to him and actually got an appointment, and he ended up coming and taking care of it. So one job down. My next big feat in life, yeah, they're going much better, Margaret. My next big feat is a car. That's my next feat in life. Okay, so now I have another layer, Calypso Coral, and I actually die cut it with the stitched rectangles, and this is the 3 by 4 3/8 rectangle. And I am going to adhere this right to the front of this basic white layer. So we just want to get it on here. I want to make sure that it is pretty well centered, just like that. And then I am going to actually put an additional layer of the Calypso Coral. And this is 2 7/8 by 4 1/4. Now you don't have to keep track of all the measurements. I will have a PDF in the room or on my blog tomorrow. I didn't get a chance to write it up today, but it'll definitely be there for you tomorrow. All right. So we have that layer, and then I'm going to add a layer of the Designer Series paper. Now I could put either side. I think I'll have this one showing this time. We're just going to adhere this right to the front of the card. So even though we only have the one single card base, the card is fairly heavy, just so you know. Okay, so then we have to decorate the front. So we'll pull in some cardstock, and we're going to pull in our Calypso Coral, and I am going to use the same wheat that we used on the inside, and I'm also going to use the fern. I have to say, you know how I have a tendency to rock my blocks, and let's see if it happens here. Nope, it didn't. But with this set, if I do happen to rock, the die cuts out close enough where it cuts it so it misses my misstep. Okay, so we have that stamped, and then we have the dies that match these stamps in this set. So I would layer this down, and where I did stamp both of them, I would use a piece of washi tape to hold this in place. And then with this one, with the wheat, once you get it set, you'll notice this little hole down here in the end. You want to make sure you see your ink through that little hole, and then washi tape it down. Run it through your cut and emboss machine, and you see it cuts out nice and close. Which reminds me, there is a new, hey Karen, this is Sun Prints. It's the Sun Prints Suite and the Nature's Prints Bundle. Now you can get it as a suite, where it would be the stamp set, the dies, the embossing folder, and the Designer Series paper. Or you can get it as a bundle, just the stamp set and the dies. And I believe the embossing folder is included. You can buy everything separate, but you know when you buy the bundle, you save 10%. And you can also get this suite with the added Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's a new thing that Stampin' Up! Is doing. So you can get this set with the cut and emboss machine if you wanted. Just so you know. And Karen, if you're just coming in, wasn't sure. Hi, Vicky. Make sure you comment hashtag Sunprints. Because I see, Vicky, you have just Sunprints. Type it back in with the hashtag. It's only going to pick up the ones with the hashtag. Okay, so now that they're die cut, I also, just to save time, I did also die cut the sentiment tag, and we are going to stamp "You're on My Mind." But before we do that, I am just going to grab my dark Calypso coral. And here we go again. I have so much of the Pale Papaya ribbon that I've been using it and coloring it. So we're just going to cut a length of this, and it's all wrapped up on this end. And we're just going to quick color this before we stamp our sentiment so it's dry. Just quick color. I just love our ribbon for this reason. Even though this is Pale Papaya, I can change the color to coordinate with my card. So we're just going to put that aside. We're going to grab our sentiment. And like I said, I'm using "You're on My Mind." And I'm actually going to stamp this in the Sweet Sorbet. I did add my sticker so I can make sure to get this on here straight. Not that it's going to work, but let's give it a shot. Okay, let's close this up. And we are going to pull in our card, and we're going to pop this up. So I'm going to put a dimensional on each end. And then I'm going to grab a smaller dimensional, and I'm going to just stick this right in the middle, because I want to tuck these little die cuts out underneath, and I don't, want it to hang up. So let's put this right about here. Make sure it's centered and on here straight. Just like that. Now I can take my fern, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of glue down here at the bottom. And I'm just going to tuck that in. And then for the wheat, we have our dimensionals out. Let's add a few dimensionals to this. And we'll just keep them towards the top. Yeah, the colors are really pretty, aren't they, Mike? Hey, Sharon. Yeah, the secret's out. It's Pale Papaya. Like I said, I think I have 4 spools, and I've been using it greatly. Okay, so now that our ribbon is nice and dry, let's tie a quick bow. And we want to make sure that the knot is nice and tight, and then our little loops will be nice and full. Straighten these out. I'm going to grab my ribbon scissors. All I do is cut ribbon with these scissors. And that's why I have a little piece of ribbon tied to it. And let's grab a glue dot, and we're going to stick this ribbon right here at the bottom. Okay, so there you go. Let's pull in our, can't forget our little pearls. Sorry about that. I added just a few little pearls, so let's pull this out. And we're going to grab that Calypso coral again. And we're going to actually color 2, 3 little of the smallest pearls. Should have done that when I did the ribbons. Hopefully they'll dry quick. They should. It's pretty warm in here tonight. All right, so there's one. And they're not 100% dry. And I'm going to put one there. Let's get that on so it's straight. And the last one, if I can pick it up, I'm going to put it right down here in this corner. So there we go. That's card number 1. I hope you like it. It's pretty. I love the colors. And like I said, this one, it opens up in the front, just like that. So there's card number 1. Yeah, everybody is doing blue. And that's why I wanted to do something different. Believe me, I love blue. But I wanted to try something just a little different. Okay, so while I have the pearls out, I'm just going to, for the next card, I'm going to color up my 2 large and then 2 of the small. And then I need a medium for the little box. So now they have a chance to dry. So let's pull in card number 2. This one we did some stamping on the inside. And we have our basic white layer. And again, our basic white layer is 8.5 by 4 1/4. And I actually turned it and scored it at 5.5. Very simple. So we have our basic card size. Okay, and this is how it's going to open. Then I grabbed some more Calypso coral. And this is 2 7/8 by 4 1/8. And that's going to go on this front flap. And then I grabbed a piece of the Designer Series paper. And it's 2 3/4 by 4. So we're just going to layer these up right on this front flap. Oops. Let's just get that off the edge. And layer this down. Just going to actually pull that out for a second. Make sure it's on there centered. This paper really, we don't really have to worry about how it lays. The design is all over. There's no right or wrong way. And then we're just going to add some glue and add this whole piece to the front of this card. Okay, and like the other card, we're actually going to do the inside. So I have the Calypso coral, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then a piece of basic white, 5 1/4 by 4. Now when this comes in and we put the wreath on, I didn't want all this white space. So I decided to stamp the inside on the right hand side. Make sure I'm on the camera here. Oh, thanks, Sharon. Thank you, thank you. So we're going to pull in the fern, and I'm going to pull in my Calypso coral again. And I'm actually going to just move this over a tad because I want to stamp off. So the fern is a little lighter than the wheat. So again, we're going to hope that I don't rock. And we're going to put this one here just to take care of that side of the card. And then we're going to grab the wheat, and this I'm going to stamp full strength, and we're going to put it right about here. So then it doesn't look so naked when we do the inside of the card. So let's grab some seal. We don't want the glue running through. And tonight we're actually not really doing any coloring. I ended up coloring that dragon this afternoon. He was so fun. I don't know if everybody saw it, but I had done the mermaid and I had stamped the dragon. So I ended up coloring them in pencils and throwing them on the front of a card. So that was my thing today. All right, so now that we have it stamped, let's get this glued. And I've got glue on my fingers. I'm going to have to get it off. We're going to put this right here on the inside of the card. And I'm going to make sure that it is nice and even on this side. Just let me lift it up here so I can straighten it out a little bit. Okay, so there's the inside. So to add the wreath, I wanted to make it so it'd be a little bit easier, and we had a way to show our sentiment through. I die cut from the Calypso coral this scallop circle, and this is the 3 1/8 scallop circle. And then I die cut a basic white, and it's about 3 inches wide. And this is what we're going to stamp our sentiment on. And I chose hello there. So we have our stamp. But before we do that, I am going to grab my blending brush and the Calypso coral. And so it is not so stark white. I am just going to add some color. And I'm not being fussy. I just want to change the white to a little bit of Calypso coral. Just a little bit of color. Okay? And then I am going to grab my sweet sorbet. Ah, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I love coloring. And I decided to, oops, see that? I don't want to. The house was quiet. The roofer was here. And I just figured I would come in and color. So I put it just about in the center of our circle with the sweet sorbet. And we're going to actually take this and adhere it right to our circle, our scallop circle. Okay. Now I already die cut the wreath, and you'll notice that it is not a complete circle. So I just turned it a little bit so it would fit on the front of the card. And this way we had a base to hold this wreath. So let's add some glue, and I am just going to randomly dot towards the inside, because we know the inside of this wreath is going to be touching the circle. So we're going to add our glue towards the inside of this wreath. And I'm just going to turn it so the fern is right to the right. And we're just going to lay this down right on that circle. Now the next step I did is I took this little flower stamp and stamped it in the sweet sorbet. Okay, so we're going to just stamp it. I only want the flower head, so we're going to stamp it twice. I could die cut this because it does die cut very nicely, as you saw on the it die cuts with a pretty nice edge around it. But I actually stamped it and then fussy cut it. I know, crazy. So I already did do that. And I did stamp it in the sweet sorbet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my light Calypso coral. I don't want it to be stark white. So I'm going to start from the inside of the flower, and I'm just going to flick out over top of these artist lines, because to me, the artist lines means that it is a shadow. And I'm not being fussy about it. I'm just doing it quick. Just flicking out from the center of the flower over these lines, just to give it a little bit of the Calypso coral. If you wanted to fill the whole flower in, it would be fine. So let's pull our wreath back in. We're going to grab some dimensionals, and we're going to pop these flowers up onto this wreath. And I want it over here on the left-hand side. So there's one. Grab another dimensional. And let's put this one right about there. Okay, so there are our flowers. Then in the dies, they have these little sprigs. I cut 2 in the sweet sorbet, and then I cut 3. Let me grab the other one here. 3 of the little ones in the Calypso coral. And all we're going to do, we want to just slip these under the flowers. Now where I have the dimensional underneath, I'm just going to clip off a little bit of the bottom. Add some glue, and we're going to slip this right under this flower. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I want to get this so it's facing this way a little bit. So I'm just going to cut off that little leaf and a little bit at the end. Oops. That piece landed right on my glue. Wouldn't you know it? Hello, hello. Hey, Kathy. Oh, my goodness. How great is that? My dishes from supper are still sitting in the sink. Tell them to come to my house. All right. And then we're just going to tuck these additional ones in just for a little bit of color. So we don't want to hide that sentiment. So we'll put one there. I'll stick this one down here. And then we'll just take this last one and put it right down here. Okay, so now we have our wreath decorated. Let's pull in our card base, and this is what's going to sit on the front of the card. Now we want to remember that we're going to pop this up on this layer, so we don't want the dimensionals to go over to this side of the card because you want it to be able to open. So let's just turn this over. I want to make sure that the sentiment is straight. So we want to do just about to the halfway mark. And just to be safe, I'm going to stay over to the side. Add my dimensionals. Just like that. And then we can add this to the front of the card. I want to make sure my sentiment is straight. And that they're not exposed on the other side. So let's grab those pearls that we colored before. We're going to use these larger ones, oops, to add to the center of the flowers. And again, I colored them with the dark Calypso coral. And then we're going to grab these two smaller ones and add them right up here. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way. And there is card number 2. Okay? And I hope you like it. So there's card number 2. Okay. Thank you so much. So before we get to the Lifesaver box, let me just see if I can get this to work. So if you want a chance to win my newest class to go, you'll get the frame and everything you need to create it. You will need stencils and the stencil paste, but I will include everything else. You can change the colors if you wanted, but you will get the frame. I will ship it to you. Everything will be absolutely free, and it's a $30 value. If you would like a chance to win, make sure that you put hashtag Sunprint in the comments, and you need to be a U.S. citizen to be included. So let's give this a shot and see what we can do. Let's hold on one second. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. And we're going to go here, go here. And here is the drawing. Emma, you are the winner. So there we go. Emma, you are the winner of the Sunprint class. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy creating that. All right, so let's go back to like I said, this is a little box with a roll of Lifesavers. And I'm hoping that I actually did die cut everything for everybody. So let me just pull out my piece of paper with my, because I did not even score it. I figured I would do everything right here for everybody so you can see exactly how it's being made. Okay, so I have a piece of the Calypso coral, and it's 6.5 by 4. So we're going to put the 4-inch up against the top of the scoreboard, and we're going to score it at 1/2, 1 3/8, 2 1/4, and 3 1/8. Then we're going to rotate it clockwise, and we're going to score it at 1/2, 1 3/8, 5 1/8, and 6. Okay, so there's all our score lines. Now, to create our box, these are going to be all our tabs. So let's just cut down our tabs. And we're going to do this on both sides. And then we will cut away what we don't need. So we're going to do it on both sides. It's a nice, quick, and easy little box. Well, maybe not quick, but it's a fairly simple little box. Okay, so now here are tabs. So we're going to go to the first set, our first little square, and we're going to actually cut that square right in half. So we'll have this square right here. On this one, we're actually going to cut that whole piece completely out. Go to this next tab. We're going to cut it in half. This is going to be our box flap. And this piece here, we're going to cut completely off. So let's just tab this and tab this. And then for that tab that's going to keep our box closed, I'm going to just grab my corner rounder and I'm just going to round off this corner. Oops. And I'm just going to round that off a little bit. Okay, so now let's jump to this side. You would think it would match, but we're not going to match it. We are going to cut the first one in half. This second one, we're going to leave to close our box. The third one, we're going to cut in half. This one here, we're going to cut completely out. And this one, we're going to tab over. So let's tab these, and again, we're going to round the corner. And since it didn't work properly, I'm going to just round it off. Okay. So here is the layout to our box. Let's grab some tearing tape. And we're going to add our tearing tape to this flap here. This is how we're going to seal and fold the box together. And we still need to fold and burnish, but we're going to get this whole piece set up. This way it is all ready to go. Now, on these pieces where we took the whole rectangle off, we're going to take a little round punch, and the smallest one I have is an old one that's 3/4 of an inch, and I am just going to put a little tab, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just put a little tab. Okay, so there we have the beginning of our box. Then I grabbed some of our Designer Series paper, and it is cut 3/4 by 3.5, and we're just going to adhere this, and let's see what side I want. The ink blot side is the side I'm going to put down so we don't see it. So we're just going to line this in each of the rectangles. Now it's going to overlap that little tab that I just cut out, but I'll go back and just re-snip it. And as I'm laying these down, I'm just making sure that the edge of the Designer Series paper is pretty even. And then this last piece here. Okay, so now they're on. We can just flip it over. Let's grab that little punch again. Now this one looks like it's okay. This one is over a little bit, so we're just gonna clip that out. And now let's fold and burnish so all our edges are nice and crisp. Okay, and then we'll do our little tabs. Now we may need to trim them. They're just the little tabs that'll close when you close the box up. And this side. Okay. Now let's pull this paper and close up our box. If you fold at the second score line and then fold up the last score line, it will line up perfectly. Then you don't have to worry about making sure everything's straight. And then we can fold in our tab. Now here is our seam. I really want that to be in the back. So we'll put this in the back and turn it over, and this will be the front of the box. Okay, so we need to trim this one right here. Oops. Let me just trim it. I think I didn't cut out my score line completely. You want to make sure you cut that bump out. Okay. There we go. Okay, so here's the front of our box. I did do it actually. So I already stamped my sentiment on my tag. And we're just going to grab the fern and our Calypso coral. We really quick and easy little top of the card. And I'm actually going to stamp it off. And we're going to stamp that fern right over that sentiment. And then I'm just going to, let me just leave this open a second. It's so white. So I'm just going to take a little piece of my sponge, ink it up, and we're just going to go around the edge just to add a little bit of color. Sun prints. Okay. So right around the edge. Then again, I did stamp and die cut the little flower. And I'm going to grab some Calypso Coral, and this is the light. And again, we're just going to add some color over the artist's lines, just like that. Go back and grab the pearl that we colored, add it to the center of that flower. Now where we're using the whole flower, we actually have to color this flower in back here. Pull in our box. And you see I made a mistake on the back. So that's where the mistakes go, on the back. And we're going to put our dimensionals pretty much down the center. And center this on our little box. Grab our flower. Add some glue. And we want to place this on the tag, but we don't want to hide our sentiment. And there you go. Quick and easy little box for a roll of Lifesavers. Still not dry. So here's card number 1 and card number 2 and our little Lifesaver box. So I hope you liked tonight's projects. Congratulations, Emma, for winning the class to go. And if you would like these make and takes this week, just use the host code at the bottom of the screen. And all you have to do is spend a minimum of $35. If you would like the class to go this month, it is on my blog, galfridaystamping.net. And I'll be back on Saturday for our Simple Saturday card. And I think this week, I think we're going to color up some designer series paper. So everybody have a great night. Enjoy yourself, and I will talk to you on Saturday. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye. 11 o'clock on Saturday, Sharon. 11 o'clock. And if anybody ever doesn't know, there is a schedule at the top of my page. So have a great night. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.